and complex legal road lies ahead before the Guptas can be sent back to South Africa, and that's according to University of Limpopo law professor, Professor Omphemetse Sibanda. In an article that he wrote for the Daily Maverick, he details the much-anticipated return of the state capture kingpins, and he joins me now to expand on this for us. Prof, a pleasure having you, and thank you so much for your time this morning. And I suppose it's important to manage expectations, right, because South Africans do want closure, they want clarity in terms of what happened, at least from the perspective of the Guptas during state capture. We've heard from the Commission of Inquiry, different testimonies given, but we still haven't heard from the Gupta brothers. So you're saying it's going to be quite a lengthy road. How does that road look like exactly?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Indeed, we need to manage expectations with regard to the Guptas coming to South Africa. I mean, for a start, we now know that as early as in March, 1st of March, and it took our authorities almost 50 days to respond to a request by the United Arab Emirates to identify the Guptas. And this is something that for me boggles my mind, because when you look at the treaty South Africa has with the kingdom, there is a clear requirements for these requirements, like identify the individual, bringing or giving over, handing over the charges. So it is going to be a long process. Firstly, we have delayed. Secondly, really, the extradition must comply with all the requirements, conditions that are part of that particular extradition treaty between the two countries. And then I can tell you, there are certain requirements from that particular treaty, as routine and banal as translating the documents from whatever English, whatever language to Arabic. They can delay the process and even lead to rejection. But then also internally, in as much as there is a condition or a requirement to extradite, that requirement in terms of the extradition treaty, it says that it is subject to the law of the country that is requested to extradite. So when you go through or you look into the court case or case law or the 2006 federal law of the UAE, there are a lot of things that need to happen. For instance, the individuals must be taken to court, whereby must be presented before the court. The court must confirm that all available conditions are met, that an individual, it is not wanted for a political offense. But then that does not end there. The court can say, listen, we don't think there's a case, and we take it to the ministry, and the minister can say, no, we are not going to expedite this particular person. But then let's again remember, they are also still permitted to exhaust all the legal remedies in the UAE to appeal whatever approach or whatever action to bring them back to South Africa.
With that being said, Prof, just in terms of understanding, and I know that you don't speak, for the Justice Department at all, but we're trying to understand as South Africans why the delay in response. If reports are anything to go by, that they've delayed in terms of responding to these news, I think up to 3 months. One would assume that the Justice Department would prioritize this case, treat it with the sensitivity and urgency needed, so that they can start the process, the tedious process that we speak of now, but also the lengthy one that they've admitted to. Why do you think there was that delay from our side of South Africa?
For me, it's a symptom of the inefficiencies and ineffectiveness of our criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to matters such as white-collar crimes, or crimes where there are individuals that are, or high-profile cases, because it doesn't give really any confidence to South Africans that this is going to be a quick one. In fact, one gets worried that the 60 days within which South African authorities must communicate diplomatically and legally with the authorities in the UAE might even expire before nothing concrete is done. So I wish I had an answer why the delay, but then for now, we can say that now inefficiencies and ineffectiveness with regard to dealing with these sensitive matters.
Right. In your view, Prof, under the same breath, are you of the view that the NPA has been transparent enough on the status of the investigations regarding, crimes that have been alleged against the Gupta brothers?
My view is that now it hasn't been transparent enough. In fact, if it was transparent enough, firstly, we would have not taken it so long to respond to the UAE request to identify the Guptas when it is our authorities that said, help us, arrest these particular individuals. As it is, we are not even sure, we don't know exactly when was the request for them now to be extradited as following, that news that they've been arrested. We are not really quite sure. We don't know the exact details. And then thirdly, nobody in South Africa can say, really, we know there is a docket or there are charges against the Guptas, and then this is basically the catalogue of charges against them. What we know is that now they are wanted. What we know that now the State Capture Commission identified them as central to many of the ills that happened during that particular period.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to me about this morning, Professor Omphemetse Sibanda, law professor at the University of Limpopo. Thank you for your time this morning.